forgiveness.
Please be seated.
I'm gonna ask you to leave. You do it one more time. You're gonna end it.
They can leave now. They can leave now, whoever it is. Have them
Come on,
right now.
You. You, come on. Let's go. See y'all in Jackson, right? Make sure you move.
Where are you again? Where's Mr. Evans? Okay, we're going back on the record.
Okay, Frank, you don't have to stand up. Just raise your right hand and be sworn. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Spell your first and last name for the record.
First name, Kenneth, Kenneth. Last name, French, French.
I'm sorry. You think this funny? You,
Me?
Mr. Jackson.
No, ma'am, not at all, ma'am.
He's laughing all the time.
Do your attorney's approach. I'm going to give you just a few moments, and then we'll start the question.
I need you to speak louder than what you said. Don't let yourself come on, just speak louder. All right. May we approach, Judge?
Yes. Okay, back in the record. Before we continue, I want to extend a caution to everyone in the audience, as well as the defendants, as well as the attorneys, everyone. This proceeding must continue today, and it must continue with respect for the nature of these proceedings. This is not television, this is serious for all parties involved. If there are any outbursts or any people speaking under their breath or anything that would disturb this record, you will be removed. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
How you doing?
Would you please state your name for the record?
Kenneth French.
Mr. French, I'm going to take you back July 1st, 2014 to 30146 Carlisle in the city of Inkster. Were you at that location on that date between 7:30 and 8:30 p.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
Why were you there?
I was at my cousin's house outside with the kids like I do every day.
What was your cousin's name?
Tony Hope.
And your kids were there?
Yeah, my daughter Kamaya, her daughter Chelsea, Nevaeh, her son DJ, and her daughter Layla.
Your daughter, Kamaya, how old was she?
2.
Did you know a person by the name of Money on that date?
Yeah,
Do you see Money in the courtroom today?
sitting right there.
Could you please, for the record, describe what he's wearing?
He got on a yellow jumpsuit
Anything else about that yellow jumpsuit?
with a red pocket.
Your Honor, let the record reflect that the witnesses identified the defendant, Raymone Jackson. Mr. French, did you know a person by the name of Shoes on that date?
Yeah,
Do you see Shoes in the courtroom today?
sitting right next to him.
Please describe what he's wearing.
Yellow jumpsuit with a gray pocket.
Let the record reflect that witnesses identified defendant Hearn in this case. How did you know Money and Shoes?
Cause they grew up in the neighborhood where I'm from.
How long had you known Mr. Jackson?
I've known him since he was a small teenager. He was one of my cousin friends.
And how long had you known Mr. Hearn?
He was one of my other little cousin friends. I knew him for a long time too.
Now, before this date on July 1st, had you and Mr. Hearn had some problems?
No, not that I was aware of.
Are you aware of them now?
Yeah, I am now.
What were the problems?
Objection. Foundation. Okay, he wasn't aware of any problems, he's aware of them now. You need a foundation for what these alleged problems were.
I'm afraid. Sir, before July 1st, had something happened to Mr. Hearns?
Yeah,
And you knew about that?
yeah,
Were you present?
yeah, I was present.
What happened to Mr. Hearns?
He came up to my motorcycle club, bought some ecstasy pills, and did something I asked him not to after he begged and pleaded me to walk him to his car safely, which he got there, got his gun, came back, and shot somebody.
Did Mr. Hearn then get shot?
Yes, he did, by the person who he shot from.
You take the baby out. I'm sorry, sir.
I'm
I'm sorry.
sorry. May I?
Please, sir.
Mr. Hearn was shot.
By the person who he shot from.
Okay, so did Mr. Hearn blame you for this?
Yeah, because I didn't do nothing to the dude who shot him.
I'm gonna object, again, a foundation for how,
How do you know this, sir?
How do I know this?
Yes.
It's because this is what I was told in retaliation, because I
Then I'm
didn't,
gonna ask-
quote-unquote, ride with him after he did something
I'm going to
bad.
ask you to strike that. Thank you. Let me go back. Sir. Mr. French, you were present when Mr. Hearn was shot.
I was inside the building. When I came outside, that's when I seen everything that was going on.
And Mr. Hearn had asked you to protect him that night?
Yeah, he asked me to make sure he get to his car safe, because there's a lot of niggas in here. This is his words. There's a lot of niggas in here don't like me, my baby. Make sure I get to my car safe. You know, I don't even come up here.
Okay, stay with me, Mr. French. So Mr. Hearn does get shot,
Yeah, he gets shot that night.
and you did not prevent him from getting shot that night?
Well-
Sir, I'm just asking a question. Did you
No, I
prevent?
didn't.
Thank you. All
He
right.
got to his car safely. He was supposed to leave, but he chose to go to his car, get his gun, come back to the front and shoot somebody.
Okay. Now, between the time of the shooting at the motorcycle club and the time that your daughter was killed, had you and Mr. Hearn spoken with each other?
Yeah, I seen him. I spoke to him.
Were you on good terms?
Yeah, I seen him in my blood though. He like, what's up? Like, you all right? He like, yeah, I'm all right. You good? I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Was the relationship the same as from before he was shot?
No. 'Cause
Okay.
I felt like he was real disrespectful when I asked him not to do that at my motorcycle club.
Okay. Mr. French, had you had any problems with Mr. Jackson before the first?
No.
You knew that Mr. Jackson and Mr. Hearn were friends?
Yeah, we was all cool, because they all grew up in my neighborhood.
Did you know Marcus Brown before this date?
No, I still don't know him.
Have you heard his name?
Yeah, I heard his name.
And since you did not know Marcus Brown, is it fair for me to say you did not have any problems with Marcus Brown?
None at all.
Okay. Now, we're going to go back to the first, while you're sitting outside of Tony's house. Do you see Mr. Hearn and Mr. Jackson at some point?
Yeah, he was driving a white car. He was in the passenger seat, and Brown was in the back seat.
Okay, I'm going to stop you.
Wait,
I'm going to stop you.
wait.
Objection as to who he is.
We're going to clear that up. Ms. Powell?
Mr. French, look at me. Mr. Jackson was driving a white car,
Yes, ma'am.
and Mr. Hearn was in the passenger seat.
Yes, ma'am.
You now know that Marcus Brown was in the back of that car.
Yes, I do.
Did you know that the day that you saw Mr. Jackson driving that white car, past Carlisle?
No, I didn't know it was gonna happen, because...
No, stop. Mr. French, did you know who the third person in the back of that car was?
No, I didn't.
Okay. And it's only because of things that have developed that you now know that Marcus Brown was in the back?
Yes, ma'am.
But that day, you saw Mr. Jackson driving a white car,
Yeah,
and then you saw Mr. Hearn in the passenger seat.
yeah.
Did Mr. Jackson have anything on his head or face?
He had some Cartier glasses on his face.
Did they have tinted lenses?
Slight tint, not heavy tint.
Okay. And when Mr. Jackson and Mr. Hearn rolled by Carlisle, did they do anything?
Yeah,
What did they do?
he threw the deuces up like we was cool.
And then what happened?
5 minutes later, Mr. Money come around the building, walking off the side of the building. I get up off the porch like, "What's up, my baby?" He pulls out a gun and starts shooting.
Who gets shot?
I get shot 9 times, my daughter gets shot once, and my cousin gets shot once.
Did you see the order of the shots?
No, I didn't.
Kamaya. Tell me about Kamaya.
My baby was laying on the ground, dying. Shot in her eye,
Where were you shot?
my arm, my chest, my stomach, my pelvis, my legs,
Chelsea, where was she shot?
in her stomach.
What did you do?
I made sure they got the kids off to the hospital before they even touched me.
Did you make any phone calls?
Called my family,
Did you tell them anything?
told them who shot me just in case I didn't make it.
Mr. French, I met with you in the hospital shortly after you were shot. Mr. French, look at me. I met you in the hospital shortly after you were shot.
Yes, ma'am.
And what condition were you in when we first met?
Physically and mentally.
Physically and mentally what?
I'm saying, what you mean? Physically,
Both. I want to know
mentally.
both.
Physically, I was going to be okay. Mentally, I'm on vacation.
Mr. French, did you have an IV in when we met? Mr. French,
Yes, I did.
you were in a hospital bed.
Yes.
Did you cry when we talked?
Yeah, I did.
Were you in distress?
Very hurt.
When I interviewed you in the hospital bed, did you tell me that you believed that Mr. Jackson may have been in the back of that car?
Yeah, I said that at first.
When I talked to you at
And
first.
you talked to me.
Were you mistaken?
Yes, I was.
How do you know that?
Because I remember after I had sat down and got the medicine out of my system, I remember where everybody was sitting. Because I didn't know the person in the back seat.
And in fact, before you talked to me, you had told the police that Mr. Jackson was driving that white car.
Yes, ma'am.
And before you talked to me, you had told the police that Mr. Hearn was in the passenger seat.
Yes, that's where it was.
Mr. French, when I met you in the hospital, did you tell me you weren't sure who was shot first?
I know I was shot first because I seen it, but I don't know the order that the kids were shot in.
Okay, but you know that you know when you were shot.
Yeah,
You felt it?
yeah,
And after everything was said and done, your daughter was dead.
yeah.
Did you see Mr. Jackson leave?
Yeah, I seen him run off the same way he came.
One moment, Your Honor.
John.
Nothing further, thank you.
Mr. Callahan?
Thank you. Prior to this occasion, you hadn't had any problems at all with Mr. Jackson, had you?
No,
And so you're sitting on the front porch. Had you consumed any intoxicants that day?
no.
Consumed any drugs that day?
Kids, I don't drink.
Had you consumed
I'm
any?
watching kids because I'm not out there just watching my kids, my cousin kids.
Had
I'm
you-
watching all the kids in the neighborhood.
Had you
Having ice
consumed,
cream.
sir, had you consumed any intoxicants? Had you consumed any drugs that day?
No,
What time did you get there?
got there like 7:30, 8 o'clock. I just came from getting my shirt made for my best friend's funeral.
He got shot.
Do that matter here?
I'm sorry?
Do that matter how my best friend died?
No, I'm just asking, did you get shot at a
It
club?
don't matter.
All right. Well, you seem to be at locations where there's,
Objection, Your Honor.
This is Betty.
now, you see money get off or walk towards you, correct? That's what you call money. And that is, he's coming from what, your right or your left?
It's coming from the right side of the building, from in between the project houses.
And would that be, you're on the porch facing the street, correct?
Yeah,
Would that be to your right or your left?
I just said the right side of the building.
And when you see him, you don't think there's anything wrong, right?
No.
You get up off the porch, correct?
And I go to greet him like, what's up, my baby? How you doing?
And
He
you
starts
get,
shooting.
how far away from the porch do you get before he starts shooting?
I wasn't even 2 steps away from the porch.
And he pulls out a gun, he starts shooting, right?
Yeah.
Directly at you, correct?
No, he was shooting at everybody on the porch. Because if he could have shot, the first time he shot me in my chest.
Well, no, you are, how tall, sir?
I'm 6'4" and a half,
And you weigh approximately what?
270 pounds.
You're about 3 feet wide, right?
But the point is what you're trying to make.
And he's standing directly in front of you, right?
But the point is what
Yeah, he was standing directly in
He
front of you.
was.
All right? He pulled the gun out and he aimed it at you, didn't he?
He aimed it at everybody on the porch after he shot me in the chest.
After he shot you in the chest.
Yes.
So, what you're describing is random shooting, correct? Random shooting.
I'm going to tell you like this.
I
know what's going on.
Random shooting.
Their idea was to kill my baby to
Answer
make me
my
suffer
question.
before he killed me.
Answer my question.
I just answered your question.
It was random shooting.
I just answered your question. His idea was to kill my baby before he killed me to make me suffer.
That's,
That's the answer to your question.
who told you that?
It was on Facebook. Yeah, look on Facebook. Oh, I just RIP'd me a nigga. I'd kill the baby if I got to, just to make him suffer so he'll feel my pain.
I have nothing further.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. French, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Mr. French, I'm going to ask you some questions. Now, if at any point in time you don't understand the question I'm asking, please stop me, I'll try to put it in a way that you do, okay? You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. And if you answer the question, I'm just going to assume you understood it, okay? All right. Now, when you were first interviewed by the police at Oakwood Hospital, you told them that you didn't know why this occurred. Is that correct?
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay. And after this incident, you did not have any contact at all with Mr. Hearn, is that correct?
No, I didn't.
Okay. And so your opinion upon the motive for this is based upon what you've heard from other people, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you saw them ride down the street, did you recognize whose vehicle it was?
It looked like it was a rental car.
It looked like a rental car. And what brought you to that conclusion that you thought it was a rental car? Why did you think it was a rental car?
You really want to know the truth?
If you're willing to tell me now.
Court-appointed lawyers put 2 and 2 together. No money. Couldn't afford no brand new 2000 nothing.
Okay. So, at that time, you didn't know they had court-appointed lawyers, though, did you?
I'm going to tell you like that.
Okay, no, sir. So listen, so the question is here.
They had out-of-state plates on it.
Okay, thank you. That's the reason why you thought it was a rental car, because it had out-of-state plates, correct? And it was a newer car?
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, so I'm not trying to trick you or anything, I'm just trying
I'm
to...
not even worried about that, because you
Okay.
can't play my games with me.
Well, okay, I believe that, yeah. Now, but you didn't recognize that car as being the person you call Money or Mr. Jackson. You didn't recognize that being his car, do you?
No.
Okay. And you said that they were driving down the street. In what direction were they driving? Were they driving in the same direction that the person who shot you came from, or were they driving in the opposite direction?
The way Carlisle was made, Carlisle runs from Middlebelt around to Andover. They was coming down Carlisle, away from Middlebelt, going towards Andover.
Okay.
Which would be the way that he came from after and shot me.
Okay. So if, just so I understand this properly, is that they came down the street and they approached the house from, as you were looking towards the street, from the right, and then proceeded to the left, and then you lost track of them after that. Is that correct?
He came from the right, shot me, and ran back to the right.
No, okay. I'm talking about when they drove by.
The same way that he came, that the car rode this way. He came from this way. After he shot me, he ran back the same way.
Okay. So after the car went past the house the first time, and from right to left, you didn't see that car again, did you?
No.
Okay. And did you tell the police that you thought it was like a Hyundai or a Honda?
Yeah, it was a Hyundai. It was a little small,
It was a small-
foreign car.
Okay, it's a small compact. It's a small compact.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the gun that you saw, now you said that, excuse me, let me strike that. Let's go back. You said that they flashed you the peace sign. So as the car's going by, Mr. Jackson would be closest to you.
No.
No?
Arms would be closest to me.
Okay. So, now this is where I'm getting a little confused here. Okay, you said the vehicle came from the right.
The passenger side of the car was facing me.
Okay, so let me just ask the question and then you can respond, okay? And then we'll get through this a lot faster for you, okay? Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay. You testified that the vehicle came from the right and exited to your left, so it was traveling...
That's not what I said. I
Okay.
said the vehicle came to the left and rolled back to the right.
Okay, so the passenger side is closest to you.
Yes.
Okay. And can you describe to me what Mr. Hearn had on that day, if you can?
No, I really wasn't paying attention to it. I just looked at the faces that was in the car.
Okay. But you knew that Mr. Jackson and him, you said it was together.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You have to say yes or no for the record.
Yes.
Thank you. And when they went by, how long was it after you said that Mr. Jackson came back around the corner?
Like 5 minutes.
Okay. Is that the only time you saw that vehicle that day?
No, that was the second time I saw him. I saw him at the gas station earlier.
Okay. And where was that at?
On Michigan Avenue in Middlebelt.
With the question. So at Michigan and Middlebelt. And what type of gas station was it? A Sunoco?
It's a Citgo.
Citgo? Thank you. And do you know about what time that was?
That was probably about an hour before. I seen them, they just didn't see me.
Oh, okay. But you were there driving your vehicle, you found your vehicle up with gas for some
I
reason?
wasn't driving my car, I was riding with somebody.
Oh, okay. Did you go in the store at all?
Yeah, I went in the store. When I was pulling in the gas station, they was pulling out.
Okay. Thank you. That was my next question. So, you're pulling out, they're pulling in, correct?
No, I was pulling in, they was pulling out.
Okay. And how many people were in the car then?
3.
Okay. And you recognized them immediately?
Yes, I did.
Who was driving the car then?
Same person, Jackson.
You were familiar with someone named Miss Holt? You heard of Miss Holt?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And she lives at the location where this happened, is that correct?
Yes, that's my cousin.
Okay. And you say you got there approximately, what time did you get there again?
About 7:30, 7:30, something like that. I had just got dropped off there.
Okay. Was she, okay, you just got dropped off by one of your friends? Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And was that just shortly before you saw him at the Sicko on Millville?
No,
Okay. You know approximately when you saw them on the Sicko at Millville?
no, I don't.
Was Miss Holt at home when you got there?
Yes, she was.
Okay. Now, you testified, okay, now you talked about a time where Ms. Paul came up to the hospital, right?
Yes.
And she wasn't by herself, was she?
No, she wasn't.
Okay, so there was Miss Powell, was there a court reporter there?
I'm not sure.
Okay, was there a person with a machine, either like a mask, like it looks like an oxygen mask, or like what you see a court reporter might have, like a little dictation machine?
I was high off morphine and all the rest of the pain pills, so I don't recall.
So you don't recall even this ever being reported, right?
Yeah, I recall the first time I talked
Okay.
to a detective, was Detective Munson, he reported the first
Okay.
time.
But let's talk about what happened in the hospital, okay? Now, you said that you were all doped up on morphine, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And did Ms. Powell ask you if you were up to this? You were up to taking to doing an acquisition as an investigative subpoena? You were supposed to give testimony under oath. She asked you about what your health was?
Yes, she did. She was very concerned about my health.
She was? Okay, good. And about your ability to be able to answer questions honestly and truthfully?
Yes, she was.
Okay. And of course, you told her, hey, I'm taking all these painkillers and this medication and morphine, you know, I can't remember, I'm not going to be a very good witness here. Did you tell her that?
No, I didn't,
Okay, why not?
because I knew what was going on. Once I got the drugs out of my system, I was going to have a clear head.
Okay. But you didn't tell her you weren't clear-headed then, right? Really?
I told her I had a clear enough head to know what was going on.
Okay. And you'd be able to tell what happened, right? Okay. And even now, today you testified that you remember that you were in the hospital and you told them that Mr. Jackson was in the back seat and Mr. Hearn was in the front seat as a passenger. You testified earlier that you remember testifying to that at the time of the investigative subpoena. Is that correct?
Have you ever been in a hospital in pain?
Well, sir,
No,
you don't, sir. Can I have a little assistance here, please?
Mr. French, I'm going to ask this question, try to answer the question that's asked, sir.
Okay. Do you understand the question?
No.
Okay. Let me ask the question. Earlier you testified that you remember that what you said at this investigative subpoena when Ms. Powell was at the hospital, that you remember telling her that Mr. Jackson was in the back seat, Mr. Hearns was in the front passenger seat. That's what you testified to earlier.
I'm not sure if he was in the back or the front because it was a third person.
Okay.
And that's after I came out of surgery.
Okay. You just gotten out of surgery?
Yes.
When? That day?
Yes.
That morning? I'm looking at, an investigative screen said this happened at approximately 12:21 p.m. Can you give me that one, please? Are you saying that you had surgery that morning?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
And were you sedated or asleep during that surgery?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And what time did you go up to surgery that morning?
Went to surgery at like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, that's when they took you up? And when did you get back to your room?
I'm not sure.
Okay. But you remember telling Ms. Powell about, you weren't sure who was driving, or, is that correct? Do you remember telling her that at that time?
The words was, he was a third person in the car. I wasn't sure whether he was in the back or the front, because I was high off the anesthesia and the morphine still.
You told her that during the examination, I'm high right now? Is that what you told her?
Don't understand your question.
Did you tell her?
Don't understand your question.
Well, I'm trying to answer, I'm trying to ask you a question, sir. Listen to my question now. Okay, at the time that you were talking to Ms. Powell in the hospital, at any point in time did you tell her you were high on morphine?
Objection, that's answered.
I don't think it's answered that. Sir, you can ask the question if you can.
Can't answer it, Your Honor.
You can't answer it because you don't remember?
Objection argumentative.
Your Honor, I feel like I'm being badgered.
Would you like a break?
Yeah.
Yeah, can we approach?
So we'll just do that. We're going to take a short break and return here at 2:20. It's 2:05 according to that clock. 2:20.
All rise.
Yes, practice.
Good, good. Thank you. You see those?
You need a break, are you good, right? Where you are?
Better.
Yes.
Take Mr. Hearn to... Mr. Hearn? You can pay it. Yeah, you can leave your pad there, well, unless you want to write, fill these and write some notes and stuff.
And I go outside, smoke a cigarette.
What time is it?
2:06.
Mr. Jackson, this way. You step there. You take it with you.
Questions, how do you get you out?
I just need my wheelchair out front.
I think it's going to